Let me do just a quick fast one on the last few days of Roger Touhy while my dog, who is an 85-pound Labrador, is under my desk moaning for God knows what reason. He's got the life of a king. But by the way, if you want to know more about this, you can go to a site I have on Blogger called Roger Touhy Gangster. That's got everything you should possibly. I'm sorry, but he's moaning under. Roger Touhy Gangster. It's got everything on photos and all sorts of things. If you haven't read Touhy's book, The Stolen Years, I also put that online for you on a blog called The Stolen Years Full Text. The Stolen Years Full Text. You can read Roger's book. And then Roger Touhy Gangster is my site of photographs. I wrote a book about him, so that's why I'm putting all this stuff here. The photos you're going to see here, the first one, you'll see there's three guys in a car. It's Gus Schaefer and Albert Cater. Cater's by the window. And Roger's way over there on the other side with a tissue, a handkerchief to his mouth. He had just vomited. He had been found guilty. He was positive he was going to walk. He was found guilty. He threw up as he put it on a lady reporter's shoes from the Tribune. And that's he was on his way to Statesville forever for that. Apparently, first he went to Menard State Prison, and then went to Stateville. The next photo should be, you'll see there's a lady hugging him. That's his wife, Clara. Roger's got the brown hat on. Clara she had two boys with him. Uh, it's a family thing. I don't think the ladies liked her, Roger's sisters, who were very protective of him. They raised him, really. His mother was, she had a drinking problem. There was an explosion in an apartment that she had with her brother, and there was a kerosene explosion. She was killed. So the two girls raised her, Ethel. They didn't like Touhy's wife. I don't know. They blamed her because after Roger was convicted, she went to Florida. On the one hand. On the other hand, I know for a fact, I've read the FBI file on her, she dressed down. Agents were reluctant to go to Touhy's house in not Des Plaines. He lived there, but the town next to Des Plaines. His home has now been ripped apart. It's a huge cemetery. Um, Whenever agents went there, she dressed them down. They dug up her yard looking for guns and stuff like that. And she came after him with a shovel. She forced him to put the yard back, the hole back, put the grass back like it was. I mean, she was hell on wheels. And you know, in fairness, your husband is convicted to basically life in prison. You've got two young boys. What do you do? You know. So she went to Florida and started a new life under the name Turner, with her two sons. Uh, Touhy owned a home. Roger owned a home down there. He had planned to go there and be a professional fisherman. He was a huge fisherman. The next photo you'll see is Clara, the little lady on the left, Roger in the middle, and his sister Ethel, who took care of him. She visited him, Roger, at Statesville 1,000 times. Can you imagine that? Uh, Dedicated, terribly dedicated. Her husband was a guy named Alacia, who early on in the early 30s had been part of that syndicate that what they would do is go down and when grapes arrived, and the Italians in Chicago was a massive community would make wine from these grapes. So what they did is they just wouldn't let the grapes off the train dock until the price was way up, and then they'd release them. Later on, he ran a bar for the Touhy's owned an enormous number of bars after Prohibition ended. He ran the last one, I think. Some guys tried to rob it someday. They came in, and everyone who worked in the bar was an old Touhy gang employee. And they were just loaded to the teeth with guns, and so they ran out. But the bar was sold in the 1970s. Um, Ethel's son is the next photo, James Alacia, named after James Touhy, who was one of the Rogers brothers. He was a federal judge, and he was the guy who locked up a lot of the big name mafia guys, and I think it was the 1980s. He handed down huge sentences. And some of the people he convicted, I'm pretty sure Cayafano was one of them, played a role in murdering Roger Touhy. At the time when Roger was killed, you go to the next photo, there's a horribly house with white stucco on it, or whatever the hell it is. It's actually brick under there. I have no idea why they made the house so ugly. I was up there a few years ago. It's a long ride from North Lotus Street. It's a long ride from Michigan Avenue, let me tell you. And I think the neighborhood has changed dramatically from when Roger lived there. Apparently, at one time, it was a big Italian neighborhood. Um, he was murdered on the porch. Judge Alacia lived there as a boy. He was a policeman at the time of the Chicago policeman going to law school at night. And he happened to be in law school that night when the murderers came to get Touhy. The last photo is Sam Battaglia, Tietz Battaglia, the FBI called him. He was one of the three guys involved. Pretty sure Marshal Caiafano and Battaglia were the two guys who carried shotguns that blew Touhy apart. Uh, Touhy's bodyguard recognized them, and that's how the shooting started. And then they ran up and said, "We're police officers," and had fake badges. And, Battaglia was one, Caiafano was the other one, and I'm almost positive Sam Giancana was the driver. So he didn't run up on the porch and blow him away. He stayed down there, but he got hit in the ankle with a stray bullet. And the reporter Sandy Smith came to his house a few weeks later, and there's Giancana with a bullet through his. Well, Sandy Smith said his leg is all wrapped up, and he said, "What happened?" And bear in mind now it's January in Chicago, and he said, "Well, I was mowing the lawn and the blade jumped back and cut me or something." Geez, what a horrible excuse. So anyway, that's if you want to go see those two sites, it's Roger Touhy Gangster and I've forgotten the name of the book. The Stolen Years full text. You can go read those there. I put everything on there for you. All right.